Hello there guys, and welcome to Mad Dog Minis. In this video I'm going to be making Primaris sized Mark III Space Marines. So I really like the Mark III armour and was keen to find a way to kind of upscale these guys to Primaris level. I mean, I love the armour style of the Mark III. I just don't like the derpy kind of proportions anymore of the firstborns. It just doesn't look right next to the Primaris for me personally. So what you'll need is basically the lower half of an intercessor or perhaps a hellblaster and the upper half of a Mark III Marine. Some of the bits are on the screen here. I think one of the bits I don't have on screen at this stage is a backpack, but you know, easy enough. Mark III or Primaris, you can mix and match whatever you prefer. I actually use the Mark III arms as well because I want the kind of Mark III, bolters and everything. I want as much of that feel as I can with these guys, just upscaled. So the first thing I do is grab the torso section of the intercessor in this case, which is what I'm using, and then I glue the legs on. And I also attach the miniature to the base at this stage as well, so I've got a nice solid foundation to work on. So that all gets glued together nicely. The greaves also go on at this stage as well. And then I chop this back section of the torso off because we won't be needing that at all. So just cut that flush with the top of the legs. And just have a bit of a clip round and tidy up if you need to, if there's any kind of big kind of bits sticking up. Easily done. So far, easy. You'll see what I mean. You can keep it easy or not in this one. The belt as well. See the kind of belt, it's not a buckle, but you know what I mean, the belt thing at the front, that needs to come off flush. So just clip it off like so. Smash, gone. And you might want to give that a file down as well. Okay, but that needs to be kind of nice and flat, and you'll see why in a sec. So grab some milliput or perhaps some green stuff, and you want to mix that together. Obviously 50-50 if it's a two-part epoxy thingy or whatever. You need a small amount, like a kind of pea-sized kind of sphere. All right, no bigger than that really. And then you plop that right on top of the legs. You just kind of tidy it up, and you kind of mush it into a little bit of a point. Then glue the two halves of the Mark III torso together. Now that nice little kind of front armoured bit, the bit that would normally cover the groin, that's going to slot onto that bit you've just chopped off where the belt buckle bit was. Okay, just like so. You kind of squish that down, all right? And that's your kind of guide to kind of line it all up. You can see here, it looks like he's getting a muffin top, but we're going to, out of his trousers, but we're going to tidy that up in a minute. But gauge how far down you want it. And it's a good idea to compare to a Primaris miniature, if that's the scale you're going for, of course, at this stage. So I just grab a Primaris miniature and just do a bit of a comparison for height, because at this stage we can still move it up and down and kind of manipulate it. If you're happy, the next thing to do is to glue that little kind of front plate that sticks down on the Mark III to the back of that belt buckle. Here I'm just using a bit of super glue to do that, but you could use plastic glue. And that just secures it. Then go around tidying up the milliput. So actually you can't do far wrong by kind of smoothing it over with your fingers. Just wet your finger a little bit, and that gives probably the smoothest result. Then go about gluing the arms on. Once again, I decided to use Mark III arms because I really wanted to get as much of the Mark III armour as I could, and the arm proportions don't bother me. They actually, for me, they look fine. So they don't look too small or derpy on this guy. So I'm happy with that. Pauldrons go on, classic pauldrons, love those. And of course the head. So starting to come together a little bit now. Backpack gets glued. There's a two-part backpack with the Mark III. They get glued together. And I actually set this down a bit lower. So I cut off that little nub at the back where the backpack's supposed to slot into, because it just didn't look right, especially with the elongated torso that we've now got. So I just cut off that nub and set that down as far as it naturally wants to go. And it'll go down another millimetre or two, which does actually make a bit of a difference. Otherwise, it just looks like he's been stretched. It just adds to that unwanted kind of aesthetic. So that kind of slots down as far as it'll go and gets glued into place. Lots of storage. That's what you want on these guys. So pouches. We got the kind of the chain swords, haven't we, from the Mark III? There's kind of a few bits of storage from that kit, but I use other bits as well from tactical squads and intercessor squads, and just build up around the waist, which is now looking a bit thin and tall. We want to kind of bulk that out a little bit. See how that really makes a difference. So grenades, all sorts go around here. You know, little pistol pouch. Yeah, get all your little kind of bits of storage out ready to go and just kind of see what works. And I think this really helps to improve the miniature, because you've stretched it up. You want it to kind of look a bit bulkier, especially Mark IIIs. They're supposed to be kind of big and bulky. So here you can see on the original Mark III legs, we've got these nice kind of studs. Now this is where it gets difficult, I would say, and this is not characteristic of my conversions. I use these things I'm using here are actually nail decoration kind of beads. They're teeny tiny. They're like 0.5 millimeters. And I just decide to kind of put some super glue on in various places and dot these around. What I end up doing is smushing the super glue around and dropping them on with a pair of tweezers and then moving them around with a pointed tool. You do not have to do this. In fact, part of me would recommend not to do this because it was really fiddly, but I really wanted that look. And I did try to use the original legs, but it just didn't work out. So I'll discuss that later on, actually. But I did want that kind of studded look, because otherwise it's looking Intercessor one half and Mark III the other half, which I don't really want. So it came out okay. Quite tedious, though. So it's an optional thing. You could have stopped at that previous stage and had a perfectly good Marine, really. So it can be easy or it can be hard. Here's two examples. So once you've sprayed and undercoated, that will help to seal those on as well. So yeah, decorative nail beads, like for like when people like decorate, false nails and things like that. So here we can see the 5 that I've done so far, including a sergeant and a heavy bolter. Apologies, I have undercoated them in Mechanicus Grey because I wanted to seal those beads on before they start popping off everywhere. So maybe a bit more difficult to see, but I think you can appreciate most of what's going on there. We do a bit of a comparison to a Primaris Lieutenant here for scale purposes. You can see that they came out really nicely scale-wise. No problems with height or bulk. I think they look plausible and good. The arms don't look too short in my view, but you may wish to use Primaris arms on these guys, potentially, which you could do really, really easily, incidentally. And here we just have the earlier conversion, which you can see really didn't work. He looked really stretched. His shins looked too short. That's why I tried to use the original legs from the Mark III kit and kind of milli put the rest in. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, share and subscribe. All helps the channel. And I will catch you in a future video. Cheers.